104. Fox 30 Action News Jax begins with First Alert Weather.
And you're looking live at temperatures across our area where many neighborhoods are in the mid-90s right now. A scorcher. I'm Ben Becker. I'd like to welcome in at this time First Alert meteorologist Corey Sima. Corey, it says behind me a heat advisory in parts of our area.
Yeah, it's actually the first heat advisory of the summer, Ben, mainly for neighborhoods near and west of I-95. This is for feels like temperatures as hot as about 110. Now, there are a lot of neighborhoods that are not seeing those feels like temperatures quite that hot, but still, it's pretty hot out there, and the humidity is especially making itself known, especially farther inland and away from the coast. Feels like temps in Duval right now are 104 at JIA. It feels like 103 at Hurlong. Craig Airport is 105, but those feels like temps are in the mid-90s at the beaches. To get a heat advisory, you need those feels like temps to be up to 108 for at least 2 hours. So we may technically miss on 108, but that does not take away from the fact that it is hot. And there's not a whole lot of rain out there. First Alert Doppler HD is largely dry. We have seen a couple of spots of rain pop. There's a shower now just to the west of Black Hammock Island in northern Duval headed to Nassau County. We're looking at rain chances this weekend, and boy, these soaring temps continuing in the First Alert 7-day forecast.
And the city of Jacksonville will open cooling centers to help with the heat. Here's a look at where some of them are behind me. Actually, Jake Stofan is live downtown. Jake, there's more than 85 places, including those centers, where people can get relief.
Well, and all of those options will be available today, tomorrow, and on Monday. Sunday, there's going to be slightly more limited options, but you can still come here to the main library downtown, the Legend Center, and all the city's pools and spas to get, splash pads, rather, to get some relief from the heat. Northeast Florida residents are going to have to crank on the AC this weekend, with the hottest weekend of the summer expected over the coming days, and feels like temperatures of up to 110 degrees. It's the first time this summer the city of Jacksonville is opening its cooling centers. All 21 libraries, 20 community centers, 29 public pools, and 16 splash pads will be open and available to people looking for a break from the heat Friday, Saturday, and next Monday. On Sunday, people will still be able to cool off at the main library, Legend Center, and public pools and splash pads. Not near one of the locations? No worries. JTA will offer free transportation to cooling centers during the excessive heat warning. Coming up on Action News Jax at 6, we'll catch up with some locals making use of the cooling centers today and give you some tips on how you can avoid some heat-related health hazards. For local coverage, you can count on Live Downtown. I'm Jake Stofan, Action News Jax.
Police say a local man led an officer on a chase, hit a tree, then rammed a police cruiser. Glynn County Police say this happened around 1 this morning during a traffic stop. Police say during that stop, the officer saw what they believed were drugs. A report says Deandra Farley drove off and crashed into a tree at the intersection of Canal Road and Old Jessup. The suspect then put his car in reverse, causing this damage to the patrol car. Farley was charged with 2 felonies and a DUI. We're working on getting his mugshot. New at 4, the body of a Jacksonville man who wandered away on the top of a mountain has been found. That's according to local media outlets and the Boston Globe. 79-year-old William Davis and his wife took a train to the top of Mount Washington in New Hampshire on Wednesday. Employees were able to call him after he appeared to have gotten lost. After about an hour of searching, they tried to call him again, but didn't get an answer. His body was found this afternoon. A local man has been arrested and is facing several charges, including sexual cyber harassment of a 75-year-old cancer patient. Investigators say Jeremy Homar was pretending to be a licensed contractor, and he could have more victims. Action Jax Madison Foglio is live in St. Johns County. Madison, he's also charged with exploitation.
And Ben, Homar, and this is all according to the arrest report, Homar allegedly got access to the victim's bank accounts and spent over $100,000 on fraudulent purchases. Now, Homar was arrested by the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office on Tuesday, and he was also facing charges of grand theft, fraudulent use of personal identification, and unlicensed contracting, in addition to the 2 charges we listed earlier. Now, we got the arrest report just in the last 2 hours. I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of it now. in December of 2024, the victim hired Homar to remodel her bathroom. Homar gained the victim's trust and gained access to her personal information. Specifically, the report states that Homar initiated flirtatious and sexually suggestive communication, ultimately requesting and receiving an explicit photograph from the victim. When the victim tried to cut ties with Homar, he allegedly threatened to share that picture with her family if she did not communicate with him. I had a chance to catch up with some residents in St. Augustine and got their reaction to Homar's arrest.
It's beyond deplorable. I mean, who would do that to anyone, let alone an elderly person, especially a sick elderly person? I mean, you can't get any lower than that.
Now, Homar had his first appearance yesterday, and he is currently residing inside the St. Johns County Jail. Now, coming up at 5, we'll break down some other things alleged to have happened to the victim done by Homar. But for now, for local coverage you can count on reporting in St. Johns County, I'm Madison Foglio, Action News Jax.
Well, in Nassau County, a state trooper has found the car involved in a deadly hit and run. Florida Highway Patrol announced that in the last 2 hours. A bicyclist was killed last night. It happened in Yulee on Chester Road and Sweetbriar Lane. The victim was a 57-year-old woman from Sarasota. She was not wearing a helmet. Troopers say a Kia Telluride was involved, but have not announced any arrests yet. Tonight, local gun violence survivors will come together to discuss help available as people recover. Advocates say only 4% of survivors know about financial assistance programs. Starting at 6:30, they'll help raise awareness on how to apply and share resources. The event will be held at the Beaver Street Enterprise Center. A crime prevention walk is scheduled tomorrow in Jacksonville. It's a time for the community to talk with Sheriff T.K. Waters about the concerns they have in their neighborhood. It's in District 5. That's the San Marco and St. Nicholas area. JSO is asking people to meet and park on Canal Street near Westbrook Park. It starts at 10:30 a.m. New at 4, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed an agreement with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers today. It's to speed up restoration projects in the Everglades. This includes a project that will clean water and a reservoir that will store excess water from Lake Okeechobee. It will move its completion to 2029 instead of 2034. This is the second announcement of conservation efforts in the Everglades this week. It comes after environmentalists plan to file another lawsuit against the governor for building the ICE detention center dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. Last Friday, environmental groups sent a notice to federal and state agencies. It announced their plan to sue over the Endangered Species Act and the Clean Water Act if action wasn't taken in 60 days. In June, a lawsuit was filed claiming Governor DeSantis skipped the environmental review process. Officials say the land has already been developed for a decade. 3 deputies are dead after an explosion at a Los Angeles Sheriff's Department training facility. Happened just before 7:30 this morning. Action News Jax brought you this as breaking news at noon. In the past hour, the sheriff talked about the lives lost in Los Angeles.
There were 3 sworn members who were fatally killed that were assigned to our arson explosives detail. No other department members were injured or transported to any hospitals. This is, unfortunately, the largest loss of life for us as the LA County Sheriff's Department since 1857.
Officials say it's being investigated as a possible training accident. The officers were 19, 22, and 33 years old. A live look at Fernandina Beach, where hours after a Fernandina Beach City Commission meeting, crews began cutting down trees on a controversial development site. It's happening despite 2 court rulings that appear to block the project from going forward. Action News Jax Yona Gavino confirmed now that the city's top planning official is out of a job.
The city manager said in a meeting this week there is major legal confusion about how permits were issued for this property, but at least one commissioner said this could be a major violation and she wants a pause. There are stumps and uprooted trees after a number of them were chopped down on the Tringali property where new triplexes are planned. During the July 15th regularly scheduled meeting, you can hear Commissioner Joyce Tootin demand an urgent stop to the construction.
I would like to direct the city manager to figure out as fast as possible how to put a stay on this building permit, because we are in violation of not just one court order from the Fourth Circuit Court from Judge Roberson, but 2.
Tootin also questioned how such a major project moved forward without top city officials knowing.
And how did we even get here? that the city manager and the deputy city manager didn't even know this was happening.
The permits were signed off by Planning Director Kelly Gibson. But by Thursday evening, City Manager Sarah Campbell emailed department heads announcing Gibson was no longer with the city. Campbell says she's now weighing legal paths forward.
But I believe that there are three paths in front of me. One is to uphold the decision by the planning director and the building official and assume that neighbors will take action.
This resident and visitor are stunned by the clear cutting of old growth trees.
Trees are precious. They're precious. They give us oxygen. You can't replace them.
Deb Rocco and Skip Harris says they're not against development, but it has to be done thoughtfully.
I've been up to Jekyll and up to St. Simon's. If you look at in Hilton Head, if you look at how they're able to build and integrate in the trees, it's certainly possible without taking them down. You don't have to put up the big signs and you don't have to take the trees out. You need to work the design and the architecture around the environment as opposed to just bulldozing it.
The city says this is a pending personnel matter and won't comment further. Meanwhile, the trees keep coming down. Right now, the city manager says she's still consulting with legal counsel. For local coverage you can count on in Fernandina Beach, Yona Gavino, Action News Jax.
Well, today we've learned when a former St. Johns County Fire Chief will be laid to rest. The funeral service for Robert Bobby Hall Jr. will take place at Anastasia Baptist Church next Tuesday. The viewing will begin at 9 a.m., followed by his funeral at 11. St. John's Fire Rescue welcomes the community to honor his life. Hall was chief from 2001 to 2011. He was one of the first paramedics in all of Florida. New at 4, Florida's job numbers were released today. The state estimates 415,000 people qualified as unemployed in June, out of a workforce of more than 11 million. Governor Ron DeSantis says Florida still has strong stats for business formation and hiring.
They want Florida to continue to be a great place to live and to work and to retire and to raise kids and to enjoy this great piece of land that God's given us.
The state's June unemployment rate was up from 3.4% a year ago. Now, the national unemployment rate in June was 4.1%. Unemployment numbers do not include people who are no longer looking for work and do not account for those settling for part-time or low-paying jobs. A St. Johns County company accused of causing a stink is reaching out to neighbors. Action News Jax told you in June, homeowners in Morgan's Cove filed a lawsuit against Indian Biomass Services. They claim property values have gone down due to the smell of human waste. The company says the smell comes from biosolids like sewage sludge processed on site into an agricultural soil enhancer.
Common sense tells you that this is not healthy, and they're going to try to convince us that everything's going to be all right when it's not.
Well, next Thursday, Indian Head Biomass will hold an educational meeting about its products at the Solomon Calhoun Center starting at 6:30.
I'm Action News Jax meteorologist Corey Simon. Yeah, it's hot even all the way to the beaches, but look at that blue sky and that blue ocean on our Jax Beach First Alert SkyCam network. I'm tracking where we will see rain, or at least a little bit of it this evening. And what about this weekend? That's coming up next.
And coming up new on Fox 30 at 5, there's an alarming trend of children getting their hands on guns and hurting themselves or others. The lawmakers working to make a change. Next at 4, concerns of a mosquito-borne illness across the country this summer. The threat of West Nile and how to protect yourself. New at 4, concerns are growing about the rise in West Nile viruses across the country. Now, so far this year, 50 cases of the mosquito-borne disease have been reported in at least 16 states, Georgia included. About half are described as severe. Even though it is a common disease, a new CDC study finds only 1 in 4 providers can correctly diagnose the virus.
The key here is to use mosquito repellents with DEET or Picardin. It's the same kind of advice we give you really for any mosquito-borne illness, for ticks. It's not really any different. And I think the key here is to be aware that there's even West Nile in your areas.
Common symptoms of West Nile include fever, headache, body aches, and vomiting. In a small percentage of cases, symptoms can be severe, affecting the nervous system and leading to encephalitis or meningitis, but in general, cases are mild and clear up in a few days or a week. $90 million worth of cocaine was found in St. Pete. The U.S. Coast Guard says the drugs were seized over the course of 2 months. In March, the Coast Guard offloaded more than $517 million worth of drugs at Port Everglades after a 3-month operation. That operation resulted in 35 people being detained for smuggling. We're bringing you information on products and how you can save money. Here's local steals and deals.
As a gardening expert, I'm often asked what grows quickly, gives me lots of flowers and some fragrance, and maybe can I even get a blue flower in there? Well, that last part is a tough request because blue flowers are rare, but not with this beautiful 3-piece mandevilla set from Cottage Farms Direct. You're getting one that's red, you're getting one that's white, and you're getting a beautiful violet blue flowering vine as well. And these are an annual, so you're going to get that instant burst of patriotic color in your garden this season, and they grow quickly. Here's what you're getting. You're getting 3 growing plants actively growing in 4-inch pots, and we've even gone to the trouble of marking which color is which for you when you get them out of the box, so no confusion. You can put these in a pot, like a 10-inch pot each. You can also put them all 3 in a large whiskey barrel if you want that full-on patriotic look as well. You can also plant these in the ground and just give them something to climb up or across, because remember, this is a climbing vine full of gorgeous flowers. They love a sunny spot. They want regular watering. Give them some fertilizer every couple of weeks, and you're going to have the most beautiful garden on the block. And right now, we're offering 42% off on Cottage Farms Direct. Just head to localsteals.com for this exclusive, gorgeous offer.
Gorgeous. The enrollment deadline for Florida virtual school is getting extended for the upcoming school year. Families now have until July 31st to enroll their students in the full-time public school option. You are encouraged to apply as soon as possible because the enrollment window is limited. The first day of school for full-time virtual students is August the 18th.
Already talking about the first day of school, and we're just right smack dab in the middle of good old summertime, or the dog days of summer in Northeast Florida and Southeast Georgia. Look at these live temperatures on our neighborhood weather station network powered by Tempest. University Boulevard West is reading 100 degrees. Phillips Highway's at 95. There's Luella Street at 99. It's about 10 degrees cooler, though, out at the beach. We're in the upper 80s. Sailfish Drive East, Penman Road are at 88, and there is Heron Drive South at 89. The sea breeze has moved in, and that is cooling. Cool is not the right word, but temperatures are lower down at the beach. And you can go to actionnewsjax.com for more information about the Neighborhood Weather Station Network. It is hyper-local weather information that we can get from your backyard. It's pretty cool, especially on days like today with a wide range of temperatures. There's the sea breeze. That's that green line that's been steadily moving inland over the last few hours, and there is not a lot of rain. We have spotty showers in northwestern Duval and into Nassau County, north of Briceville. These are headed up toward Callahan if they hang together. You see the arrival times here. Keene at 4:35 and then Callahan at 4:55. If those showers hang together, that's a long time from now. They may not make it. Farther inland, there are spots of showers starting to develop up to the north and northwest of Waycross, even near Blackshear, but most of the activity is in northern Pierce County. And we got to watch this area a lot like yesterday, near Highway 301 for a few showers and thunderstorms later this afternoon into the evening, but the coverage of rain looks a little lesser today. as opposed to yesterday. So there will be a lot of spots that do not see rain. We can see some of those rain clouds in the distance, though. This is a really pretty shot with the blue sky on our Orange Park First Alert SkyCam network. And then those clouds that are trying to get a little bit taller here and there. Every now and then we'll have one of those spotty showers that drops out at least a brief burst of heavy rain, and then it goes away. So let's talk about the weekend, because there will be plenty of dry time. Saturday starts dry on the hour-by-hour forecast. Then we're in the mid-90s by noon. The heat is also going to be really cranked up this weekend. You see a bunch of 97s. Some spots will approach 100 degrees, not just Saturday afternoon, but also on Sunday. And you see the green. There may be some isolated showers or thunderstorms in the afternoon, primarily inland, but there's not going to be a whole lot of rain. And again, Sunday morning starts dry. Sunday afternoon, we'll see soaring temperatures nearing 100 degrees even in Jacksonville. And you don't see a whole lot of rain. Sunday looks even drier than Saturday. We're actually keeping Sunday completely dry in the First Alert 7-day forecast. Hour by hour for tomorrow. Look at this. The feels like temperatures will be approaching 100 as early as about 10:30 to 11, peaking between about 104 and 109 tomorrow afternoon. That's pretty serious heat. You got to make sure you're staying cool, taking breaks, taking advantage of nearby shade, drinking plenty of water, that sort of stuff. Your weekend is always in view in the First Alert 7-day forecast. It looks like it'll be the hottest weekend of the summer, at least so far. And we'll still be in the upper 90s through Monday while we stay primarily dry. And then the faucet turns back on next week with daily scattered showers and storms. You get the latest First Alert forecast around the clock and more on the Neighborhood Weather Station Network at actionnewsjax.com.
Yep, Americans are retiring later, while people are working 9 to 5 forever. New afford, many Americans who are 50 years old or older are not retiring because they can't afford to. That's according to a survey from F&G Annuities and Life. Half of the survey respondents say financial uncertainties is what's keeping them working. 44% say they're worried about inflation. The survey says those holding off on retirement will also delay when they take Social Security in order to get more money later. The parking lot at Fernandina Beachfront Park will be closed at some point next weekend. St. Johns County says the parking lot will be unavailable for the Game On St. Augustine Triathlon. The closure will begin on Saturday at 3. It will reopen around 11 a.m. the next day. Jack's Parks is hosting another viewing of a Minecraft movie. These are some pictures of the first viewing this morning. It's at Artist Square on Riverside Avenue. There'll be another showing tonight at 7. It's free, and there'll be popcorn and food trucks on site. And hot, Corey.
May want to mine some water before you head out to the movie later this evening. Feels like temps will be well into the 90s even after sunset later this evening. There's spots of showers out there right now. You see some of those dark cloud bases. The heaviest rain will be farther inland later into this evening and night.
All right, thanks for joining us today at 4. Much more ahead on Action News Jazz at 5.